2016 meeting of the Contractor State License Board Public Affairs Committee will now come to order. I guess we got to do this. Okay. I'm David Diaz, the committee's chair. Please note that only board members who are members of the committee may sit at the table. Other board members who are here with us this afternoon must observe from the audience. If a quorum of the entire 15-member board is present, those members not on the Public Affairs Committee cannot participate in our discussion. A couple of things to note. One of our committee members, Pastor Herrera, has been excused. Also, Board Chair Augie Beltran has temporarily appointed Mike Layton to the Public Affairs Committee. Mike joins us via teleconference from our Norwalk office. Good afternoon, Mike.
Good afternoon, guys.
Okay. Another committee member, Kevin Albanese, is joining us via telephone from our San Jose office. Kevin? Hi.
Hello, I'm here.
Okay, so let's see. Nancy, can you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Sure. Pledge, salute, I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Claire Goldstein, can you please call the roll and check for a quorum?
Sure. Dave Diaz. Kevin Albanese.
Here.
David De La Torre. Mike Layton.
Here.
Nancy Springer.
here.
And Pastor Herrera is excused. It's a quorum.
Thank you, Claire. We do have a quorum, so, okay. Thank you. Next time, we'd like to have self-introductions to the committee members, staff, and those in our audience. For those in the audience, introducing yourself is voluntary. Let me start at the table tonight with Laura.
Laura Zuniga, Chief of Legislation.
Christy Shields, Counsel for the Board.
Cindy Canametto, Chief Deputy Registrar.
Cindy Christensen, Registrar.
Dave Diaz, board member.
Rick Lopes, Chief of Public Affairs.
Nancy Springer, Board Member.
Claire Goldstein, Public Affairs.
Norwalk.
Mike Layton, appointed board member.
Jesse Flores, Deputy Chief Enforcement.
San Jose.
Kevin Albanese, and there are no public.
Norwalk, any public?
No public in Norwalk as well.
Thank you. All right, I've got a few things that I'd like to briefly note at this time. First, I wanted to officially welcome Claire Goldstein to the Public Affairs Office. Claire's been with the board for the past couple of years, and I'd like to congratulate her on her new promotion to supervisor. We look forward to working with you. Congratulations. And actually, I've worked with Claire on a little project thing in Fairfield, and it was really a nice experience, so thank you. While the vacancy is now filled, there is a new vacancy to let the committee know about. Steve Breen, who is our publications coordinator, has left CSLB for a promotion, is now working for Caltrans. This seems to happen an awful lot. Steve was the editor of our law book and has now led the lead, who has led to some reshuffling assignments in order to pick up that project. Members should be aware that the domino effect could be, there could be a delay in the completion of our consumer and contractor flagship publications until later this spring. Certainly Rick and Claire will move as quickly as possible to get the position filled. You can also see that today's committee meetings were using a new video conferencing system that connects Sacramento and Norwalk offices, and it's actually a very good feed. We're excited to have this tool and want to note that this will save the board both time and money. Finally, I want to thank in advance the Norwalk staff, especially Deputy Enforcement Chief Jesse Flores. On November 14th, the Norwalk staff will be hosting a government delegation from, oh boy, Guangxi province in China, giving them a closer look at our operation. Is there any committee discussion on this agenda item? No. Okay. Anybody any public comment on this item? Seeing none, go on. Okay, agenda item B, public comment on future agenda item requests. The next item B is a public comment about items on the agenda that is not on this agenda. However, the committee cannot take any action items not listed on this agenda. CSLB welcomes public comment on any item on the agenda. It is my intent to ask the public comment prior to committee taking action on any agenda item. So if you want to speak about a specific agenda item, you may want to wait until that item comes up. If for some reason I forget to ask the public for or ask you for public comment on the agenda item, any member of the public who wants to comment should raise their hand and I'll recognize you. Also, we'll be limited public comment to 5 minutes per individual. At this time, are there any members of the public who would like to address the committee? Here in Sacramento, and I guess there's no public members on the phone or on the webinar, so we'll go on to the next item. Agenda item C, the Public Affairs Program update. For that, would turn to Public Affairs Chief Rick Lopes.
Thank you. We're going to go ahead and start on page 9 of the program, and we're going to do something a little bit different today. As normally during our committee and board meetings, I go through and I give the entire presentation. Since we do have some new committee members and new to the Public Affairs Committee, I'm going to actually ask some of my staff to do their portions of the update. So you hear about the work that they're doing, but you're actually going to be able to see them and ask them questions if you do, but they'll be able to talk about the different parts of the program update that is theirs. So we'll go ahead and start on page 9. As Dave mentioned, our staffing update, we did fill our 1 vacancy, but we do have 1 current vacancy that we're moving forward on advertising for. On the bottom of page 9 is our website statistics. This is the tracking that we do on a monthly basis of just what is happening with the website. I won't get into a lot of detail unless there's very specific questions. Things are really holding steady. It's been real steady for about a year now since we had the old problems we had with web scraping, since those have come to an end for now. Things have been really steady. You are seeing some slow growth. Our site is mostly used on weekdays as opposed to on weekends. As you move to page 10, you can see the types of devices, and the way we've broken out this chart is by all users, and during Monday through Friday, we do have a lot of people in the industry, insurance companies, building officials, and the like that use the website, so you see a higher number of people who are desktop users who use it on the weekdays. We also have broken out as new users. These are people who may be coming to us just periodically for to check a license or to get information. You'll see that those statistics, you actually see a higher use of both mobile devices and tablets, and you see the number of desktops dropping, which kind of leads us to believe that people are using the site to check licenses or doing things on their mobile phones or tablets, and a lot of those people are with us on the weekends or in the evenings. On the bottom of page 10, this is the part of the same chart that we used at the last board meeting. These are the most popular pages on the CSLB website. We have taken out the license lookup because that's far and away our biggest and most used feature. So we've removed those, and this is like page 2. It's not 2 through, in this case 21, but these are the most popular pages, and it gives us an idea of the kinds of things besides the license check that people are coming to our website to see. And so we can take a look at some of these things and try to make sure that getting to these pages is easy, and in some cases we can see like some of the forms and applications and those kinds of things, we might look to put links or do other things to make them a little bit easier to find. We're going to move on to page 11 now, and we're going to our video and digital services, and we're going to ask Ashley Caldwell to come up and give that part of the presentation. Right now she's doing the webcast, so we're going to kind of switch staff there, and Ashley's going to come up and talk about all the work that she does with our video and digital services.
Hello, good afternoon. If you could turn to page 11, I'll go over the video and digital services. If you haven't noticed me sitting in the corner behind a bunch of equipment at every board meeting and committee meeting, it's because we are streaming every meeting And it's also recorded and archived on YouTube for any members of the public to access at any time. We continue to provide live captioning during these meetings, and also we're seeking new ways to improve the streaming process all the time. Some of our latest updates include a lower third graphic, which our graphic designer Amber Foreman created. I'll let Amber go over that a little bit later. We've also started streaming via YouTube Live, so that is a different platform than our usual Ustream that we've used in the past. We started doing that during our Monterey board meeting on September 19th and September 20th. So if you look at the stats below on the bottom of the page, you'll see that we've increased the live number of viewers by approximately 393%, which is really high. With Ustream, we had an average of about 23 live viewers, and it went up to 115 on the September 19th board meeting and 66 on the September 20th board meeting. So about an average of 90 live viewers for both meetings combined, which is a huge increase compared to the 23. So the YouTube Live sends out a notification to all of our subscribers, so we have about 591 subscribers on our YouTube page right now. So going on to social media, you'll see our infographics. I'll explain a little bit about the infographics. They're more visually appealing than just a text post. So our infographics have increased engagement by 67.5% in comparison to posts without graphics. So if you look at the examples here, you can see the last graphic is for a job post for an enforcement supervisor. So what I do is I post an infographic, and then I'll also write a short description and add a link for more information for anyone to go and access, for example, the job post for this infographic. Below, you'll see a chart showing the consistent growth in each social media platform. We continue to use Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Periscope, LinkedIn, and we've also recently added Instagram, which is great for our infographics since Instagram is only graphics. So if you have any other questions? No, I don't see any, so I'll hand it back over to Rick.
Thanks, Ashley. And yeah, as you see through the next few pages, she's just, again, talking about the growth. We'll move on to page 16 now is our email alert feature. We've talked about this for a number of years now. This is the spot we have on every page of our website where people can actually go to sign up to receive email alerts. We've got various different things people can sign up to get. You can see the list there on the bottom of 16 in that chart. We have our industry bulletins, our public meeting notices. Our CLC is our California licensed contractor. That is our quarterly newsletter. We also have news releases, and earlier actually in May, we added job openings, a new page we have, and we have had some good list of signups that people receive that we actually send that out on a weekly basis of all CSLB job openings. Moving on to page 17 is our media relations. You can see the chart there of the media inquiries. It's, it goes up and down, but that's, just kind of based on when the media is calling us. It's been a particularly busy last couple of weeks, and so we've had a lot of media stuff that we've done in the last couple of weeks. No media events that we've had since the September board meeting. The bottom of 17, you see the list of news releases. At the top of page 18, in our industry and licensee highlights, we're currently in production with our California licensed contractor newsletter. That was one of the assignments that Steve Breen, who Dave mentioned has left us to go to Caltrans. That was one of his assignments, so we're kind of picking up the slack on that, and we are working on that to keeping it moving forward. And then you see the industry bulletins. We did issue one during the month of October. The next section of the update is our publications and graphic design highlights, and Amber Foreman is our graphic designer that we have on staff, and she's going to talk about not only these publications, but some of the other work that she does for us.
Hi, good afternoon. My name's Amber Foreman, as Rick just said. I work in public affairs, and I'm the graphic designer. I'm here to discuss some of the publications and highlights. I have a few things. So Ashley kind of touched on the lower third graphic, and I don't know if you guys can see it there, but on page 11 in the board packet, there are some samples. So basically, in the past, we just only had a name and title that was overlaid on screen. And we added some things to kind of make it a little bit more informative. So we also display the meeting type, we also display the meeting date, and we also display the current agenda item so the public and people watching can follow along, so it's very helpful. And also it's helpful when archiving as well, when going back. Moving on to our publications, it's kind of listed on page 18, some of the things that are completed, in production, and in development. It's just an overview of some things that we've created, updated, printed, or published online. We're in the process of creating a schedule to review all of our current publications, keeping them up to date with new legislative changes and current information. And also, we will be redesigning a lot of the publications, giving them kind of a new look and feel. And another thing we'll be doing, I think you guys have seen outside the door here, the wall displays where the board member photos and the registrar photos are. I will be updating all of those kind of with a new look, a new feel. So new photos, new frames, something different than what's kind of been displayed for the past few years. And lastly, we will be updating and changing the look and design of the CLC online newsletter. We're going to make it a little bit more web and mobile friendly so that it's easier for reading and easier for navigating. And when you view it on different platforms and devices, the layout will kind of change accordingly. And that's all I have. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Great, thanks, Amber. The next section we're going to go on to the top of page 19 is our community outreach. I'll just briefly note that as far as disaster outreach, luckily the fire situations have toned down. We did provide some materials to the Office of Emergency Services that were used at a town hall meeting that was conducted in Santa Cruz County at the Loma wildfire. We're going to move on now to an area that has a lot of interest, I know, from the committee and the board as a whole. And you hear us talk about Jane Kreidler a lot, but you don't often get to see her because she's normally out on the road traveling. Luckily, Jane is in town today, so we thought we'd let her go ahead and talk about senior scam stoppers and some of the other outreach that she's in charge of.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Rick. So it's been a busy year for everyone at CSOB. We have had 170, by the end of the year, we'll have had 170 outreach events, 32 general outreach events, 30 speakers bureaus, 10 consumer scam stopper, and 98 senior scam stoppers. We've held 93 senior scam stoppers through October. We've got 5 more left, and then we will begin the new year. So that's all I've got, unless anybody has any questions. Yes.
From San Jose.
Go ahead, Kevin.
This is Kevin Albanese. Jane, you do a phenomenal job. It's been a while since I've been there, but for any board members listening or public, strongly encourage you to go to one of Jane's presentations. The senior scam stoppers are awesome and really give some great tools to people that need them and that should have them. So thank you very much for your service to the state, Jane.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to ask, this is through December of this year, correct?
Yes.
When will the new list come out for next year?
I actually haven't scheduled any for next year, which is not, I usually have a couple scheduled. I have one legislator in Southern California who's interested in scheduling 3 in March, but I don't have dates yet.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions?
Hey, Jane, if you can just briefly mention how you interact with the seniors, how you find out a lot of the things that are going on, and how it helps us drive, with enforcement and some of the outreach things, how you kind of interact and get that information from them.
At almost every senior scam stopper, there are seniors that come up with issues with regard to contractors, and so I really hear what they're experiencing, and one are the phone calls. Sometimes, I'll ask, what kind of phone calls do you receive, what kind of solicitations? And for a long time, I would say a couple of years, solar was down. They weren't hearing anything about solar at all. And the last year and a half or so, solar is really on the uptick. So they have a lot of questions about solar, and Many of the issues that they have are just with unlicensed. They're hiring people who come to their door, things like that. But we do get a pretty good indication of what's going on out there from what they're saying at the seminars.
Okay, terrific. Thanks, Jane. At the bottom of page 20, the employee relations, we do have about 400 employees that work for the board all around the state, and so we do, part of our communications is with our employees. On page 20, that you see that we actually utilized some of our new, not only do we have this video conferencing system between us and Norwalk, we can actually connect with our other offices with webcams and the like, and we actually conducted some media and training for some of our enforcement staff in San Diego last month, where I was able to actually conduct the training from here in Sacramento, and they were able to sit in front of their computers in San Diego. And so that worked really well and didn't require me to have to go to an airport and get on a plane, so that was really good to save time and money for the board. And then on page 21, we do have our Intranet Site, which is for employees only and people within our system, and we update that with news not only from here in Sacramento, but we get a lot of input from folks in our other offices. You can see just a couple of the samples of stories. We profile new board members, events that we had here. You can see there a chili cook-off. We had there's an air show that takes place every year at Mather Field, which is not too far away, and so we get a nice bird's eye view of the Navy Blue Angels as they did their training. So we got some nice pictures that we were able to put on there, and we talked about some of our enforcement. So with that, unless there's any questions, that concludes the public affairs program updates.
Who won the chili cook-off?
It was Mark, right?
Williams.
Mark Williams.
Awesome.
He's very traditionally in the finals, so he's an expert.
Thank you, Rick. Yeah, Nancy, you have a question?
Yeah. Sorry, I just go back to page 9. Clarification, I think you gave this to us once before. Can you just clarify the difference between a session versus the page view?
Sure. The sessions are the number of times somebody comes to our website. So no matter if they look at one page, if they look at a bunch of different pages. The page view is the number of pages that let's say for September, the 691,649 sessions that people came to us, they viewed a total of 4.6 million pages on our website. So if you look at the next columns to the right, pages per session, we averaged, in September it was 6.7 pages. So the average user used us between 6 and 7 pages. Then you can see there the average duration that they stayed with us. Bounce rate is what the percentages of people that come to us and only visit one page.
Okay, thank you.
And that's when they bounce off. And then you can see the percentage of new sessions as well. Those are people that are visiting us for the first time.
Any other board members with comments? None in Sacramento? Anything in Norwalk?
No comments from Norwalk.
San Jose? Kevin?
I'm good, thank you.
Thank you so much. Anybody from the public here in Sacramento? Hearing none, and I know there's none online, so go to the next item. So moving on, next item is item D, a review and discussion and possible approval of the 2017 to 2019 CSLB Communications Plan. To lead us through this proposal, I turn it back over to Rick.
Okay, thanks, Dave. Okay, we're going to go to page 25, and this is a little bit different than our strategic plan and other things that we do as far as our planning purposes. This is kind of, keep in mind, this is like the 30,000-foot look at what public affairs does, how we fit in, and how CSLB communicates with the public. So kind of keep that in mind. So there's going to be some general overriding themes that we try to put into play when we do more specific action items that we do. So we'll start on page 25. I want to kind of read a couple of the things just so everybody gets a chance to actually, to hear some of this. The purpose of our Public Affairs Office is to provide relevant, accurate, and consistent information to various stakeholders and audiences. Communications include all written, spoken, visual, and electronic, including the internet and intranet interactions. And also I should mention as we go through this is a draft that we would like any input from the committee on, and we would like to at the end of this process to have a vote that you would approve to send this on to the full board for them to review at the December meeting. So anything you see in this, this would be the time to suggest edits that you have. Moving down, I also wanted to note mission statement for the board, item number 2. This is long-held mission statement that was approved by the board. It's on our website. We did break it down into a public affairs mission statement. And our mission is to provide timely, accurate, and useful information to CSLB stakeholders with the primary goal of protecting California consumers in matters relating to construction. We accomplish this by providing information and materials to educate consumers so they can make informed choices when hiring contractors and managing a construction project. We build and maintain a positive, responsive, and professional relationship with news media outlets and reporters. We expand CSLB's visibility with the consumers, licensees, potential licensees, and the construction industry. And we serve as an important conduit for CSLB employees and board members. And we partner with other state and local government agencies as well as trade organizations and other interested groups. We noted we have 6 full-time positions in public affairs. When you break it down into our guiding principles, our office is committed to using its individual and collective experience, judgment, and talent to provide board members and staff with the most effective and creative public relations counsel services possible. We provide board members with information and facts to assist them when developing board policy and addressing the public. Our highest priority in our office is to proactively advocate for the interests of California consumers based on the belief that the board serves a critical regulatory role in one of the state's most important industries, and that educated consumers are in a better position to protect themselves from problems during a construction-related project. It's also believed that the availability of consumer protection information will reduce the number of disputes between contractors and homeowners, and therefore the number of complaints that homeowners make to CSLB. And as we move on to the next page, we'll note that we do promote the fact that we believe that everyone who is qualified to be licensed should get a license. In addition to our high priority of consumer protection, when we promote the results of proactive enforcement operations, which is a lot of what we do, we really do attempt to encourage licensure in order to help level the playing field for licensed law-abiding contractors. And that holds true for our enforcement, and it holds true. We try not to portray people that we catch in sting operations as being bad people. These are just people that our goal is to try to get them, if they could qualify for a license, is to get a license. And for the bad players, obviously, we take that a little differently if we feel that there's really a direct consumer harm. As far as target audiences, item number 6 there's a list of the various different people that we kind of target with our outreach. Item number 7, the communications messages. These are some of the different messages that we're doing. Something new, where we are going to be planning to focus a lot more on solar. So you see one of our items there does deal with solar, about the importance of consumers doing their homework before committing to any solar project. As far as the different communications channels we use, we've talked about them in our program update. We have our website, we have online content, we have video, social media, publications. We do a lot of work with the media. We have our community outreach. We also work with industry and trade publications, and we have our employee intranet. And we really do try to put ourselves in the best position to adopt new technology as well. As far as our short-term goals, you see a lot of words in there like continue and maintain and things. A lot of our short-term goals are, in many ways, to keep the lights on with what we're already doing, to move forward, to expand those programs as we can, but to try to not let anything lapse, and try to keep everything going. With 6 people and a vacancy here and there, it can be a challenge sometimes, but that is our short-term goal. As far as our long-term goal, a new item that I did want to bring to the committee's attention is the first one there about developing an opt-in licensee search feature for the website. This is something we've talked about for a number of years, but we actually have new legislation that I know that we'll talk about in the next meeting, but we're going to be working to work on what AB 2486 is told us that we need to work on, actually making it possible for people coming to the website to search for their contractors by zip code or geographic location. So that is a change from the current thing, and I think it's going to help us get to the point where we can get to a kind of a licensee lookup feature that we've wanted to have for a number of years. As far as other long-term goals, you can see these are a little bit more about building and developing and expanding. You hear a lot more of those terms when we're talking as far as long-term goals. And as we move on to the The measurements of success, what I'd like to suggest, I'd like to actually change the title of that and maybe something like tasks to measure success. As we went through this list, it could be kind of difficult to put numbers to this. In a couple of the areas we see about conducting at least 4 senior scam stoppers a month and 2 consumer scam stoppers a month. Those we can kind of put numbers to, but it's hard for us to say how many press releases. I mean, we issue press releases when newsworthy things happen. It's hard for us to put a number on that. So I think as far as the title of this section, unless there's any opposition from the committee members, I would like to change it to say tasks to measure success. And then down to the very final paragraph at the bottom. Actually, I just talked about that, and I just wanted to make sure the committee was aware that some of these things do change, and sometimes it seems like we've got things on our agenda that kind of stay there for a long time. But we jokingly, talk about it in our office that sometimes we feel like the old, when you go to the carnival, you have the whack-a-mole game. It's like just when you're doing something, a different mole pops up in a different area, and you got to go over and you got to whack that. And sometimes we find, and that's just kind of the nature of how public affairs offices are, is issues or situations tend to pop up, and that can put some of our things on the back burner for now. But we do like having the committee helping us with our priorities, which we do at our strategic planning session, and throughout the year. We would welcome the input as we try to do a little bit of juggling when some of these issues come up and there's moles to be whacked. So with that, I would encourage, if there's any comments or any input from the committee members, we would be happy to hear them.
Yeah, I actually have one comment. On the mission statement, which says enforcing the laws, regulations, it's I think the fourth bullet point down. Is there any possible way to add codes, or is that out of our realm because it's a building department?
We don't, this one we're talking about the board's mission statement,
Yeah.
so that'll probably be something we'd have to work with probably at a board level.
Well, I think it's actually included within that because the law requires the contractors to comply with building code standards. And so the law, we enforce the law that
Right.
requires them to comply with. We don't really enforce the building code standard.
No, I
We
understand
enforce that
that,
they
but-
have to comply with the building code
Yeah,
standard.
but we also really don't enforce standards. It's basically the same type of thing, but it's written in there. So that's the only thing I was
Well, we
thinking.
enforce our standards.
Oh, okay.
So that's what I think the distinction is.
Okay, no, I was just asking. And then the other thing would be on communications.
Which page are you on?
And this is on 27, number 7. And I guess, now this is part of it, but maybe we can do some kind of communication message to the public about permit pulling, if that's possible, because we have a big issue with that around the state.
Okay. Yes, we can add in a bullet point that addresses permit pulling.
So, because, I mean, we have contractors actually asking homeowners if they want to pull a permit or not, which is not legal. You have to pull the permit. So anyhow, that's my statements. Anybody else here at the board? Let me do the board members first. Chris, is there, in Norwalk?
No comment.
Okay. San Jose?
No comment.
Thank you. Christie?
I have a suggested change on page 27, the first sentence at the top. It states CSLB is mandated to ensure that contractors meet the minimum trade standards for licensure. I would delete the word trade because we have other standards that we implement there. The standards we enforce are our standards, not industry trade standards. So what I'm talking about is there's things like bonding requirements, there's requirements that you don't have substantially related criminal convictions. Those are standards that are not established by trade or industry. They're standards that we enforce that they have to comply with in order to be eligible for licensure. So I would just delete the word trade from that sentence.
Yeah, and that's talking about the 4 years journey level experience? So you,
Well, we have all kinds of standards, and they're state standards. So they're not trade standards. They're our state standards. Sometimes the standards look to trade industry standards in order to establish the minimum requirements for licensure. But there's a whole host of other standards that are not trade-driven that I want to make sure is covered.
so you want to make sure that by putting trade in there, you think it,
I think it limits
Reduce-
it to only certain
Cer-
types of qualifications when
Okay.
you have other qualifications for licensure. So I would delete
So
the
just
word
meet-
trade.
Yeah, just so that minimum
Just meet
standards.
minimum
that were-
standards for licensure, and there's a lot of them. I mean, we could put in there CSLB standards for licensure, but I think it's kind of understood. So,
Easy change, thank you.
sure.
Any other comments from the board? Public?
Good afternoon. My name is Chris Walker. I'm representing the 400 contractors that are members of the California Association of Sheet Metal and Air Conditioning Contractors. And I just wanted to double down on what Dave had commented on page 27 under Roman numeral 7, the communication messages. I know that, driving home the message that contractor has to be licensed is the primary thing. But the permits are really, really important because permits are the check on the contractor's work. And, we want to make sure that the contractors are performing the work to trade standards and to meet all the minimum requirements. The only way to do that is to have a third-party inspector come out and do that inspection and issue the permit. So it's really an important part of consumer protection. The other issue is workers' comp. Homeowners who are having contractors come out and perform work on their homes that do not have a valid workers' compensation policy are putting those homeowners' assets at risk. And I would like to see that included in the message as well. The last meeting, I learned that 56% of the HVAC contractors licensed by this agency have an exemption from workers' comp because they say that they're a solo practitioner. That's an astounding number that are working out there without a workers' comp policy, and people going into people's homes, risking injury, et cetera. So I would like to see that included in the messaging.
Great, I would say thank you. Yeah, both of those are things that we do talk about, especially the workers' comp. We hadn't put it into here, but our 10 tips and those kinds of things. But
Yeah.
good ideas to put them there and reaffirm.
Really important to
them.
us.
Absolutely,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. More from the public?
Good afternoon, Richard Marks and Pacific Advocacy Group. Under target audiences, under bullet number 4, I guess, I'm not sure I would group unlicensed contractors with journeyman, and I would also suggest that you replace journeyman with journey worker or journey person, which is a gender neutral. And under communication messages, I'd also suggest that you remind homeowners of their obligation and the obligation of the contractor to call before you dig, particularly with SB 661 and the changes. I think that there's going to be an increased obligation and requirement that almost any work now that would include minor sprinkler installation and even some plantings might run into that requirement.
Thank you so much. So we got, okay. Did you get that?
Yes.
Okay, so anything else from the public? One more time for board members, anybody? Okay. So at this time, I'd like to get a motion and a second to approve the communication plan, but we'd have to do it with these changes, or how do we, yeah, so.
Yes, I will input the changes that were suggested by the board, and actually the ones from the public, I don't have any problems adding those in. Those are messages, but, and we can certainly.
State them? Yeah,
Sure.
that's what I thought, yeah. Thank you.
We will add information on the, on what's on page 27 in part 7, the communications. We will add a bullet point about the importance of building permits and pulling permits. We'll also talk about workers' comp insurance. And we'll also add in the call before you dig. And then we'll take a look and bring this to the board too about changing journeyman to journey person.
And then delete the word trade at the top.
Yes, and thank you. And yes, delete the word trade at the top of page 27.
Then you
Yes,
also
yeah,
have the
I'm saying-
one.
Yes, and the one I added, of course, the one I forgot. About changing the word task at the, as the title on section 12.
Okay, everybody's heard that. Somebody needs to make a motion, please.
So Nancy Springer, I'd like to make a motion to accept the communication plan as just outlined with the amendments there, changes as Rick identified.
Do I get a second somewhere?
Second.
Thank you. That was Kevin. Okay, Clerk, can you do a roll call, please?
Sure. David Diaz?
Oh, wait a minute, public again? Okay, is there any public comment? None here in Sacramento, and I know there's no public anywhere else, so, okay. Claire?
David Diaz?
Aye.
Kevin Albanese?
Aye.
Mike Layton?
Aye.
Nancy Springer?
Aye.
Thank you. The vote is 4-0, because that's it. So the motion passed. Okay, so that concludes our business for today. Can I please get a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Do I have a second?
Second. It's Mike Layton.
Okay, anybody from the public?
Just a public comment. I'd like to thank the board employees in San Jose for getting me set up on this conference call. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Kevin. Okay, Clara, can you do a roll call on this, please?
Sure. David Diaz?
Yes.
Kevin Albanese?
Aye.
Mike Layton?
Aye.
Nancy Springer?
Aye.
Consider yourselves emancipated.
Thank you guys so much. Thank everybody here.
Legislation.
Yeah, legislation is next. I don't know, are you guys, there's any setup we have to do?
We'll just, for 5 or 10 minutes, probably just
Okay.
time to
Juggle
switch seats.
nameplates.
Okay, about 10 minutes, and then I think Nancy's the chair of legislation, right? So we're going to switch our seats around.
Are you on lunch?